Stocks 5150. Today is June 4th and the time is 8:10. We are waiting. The market has pulled back on us and it dropped all night. As you can see, I'm on the 1 hour. And of course, you got Iran news and everything. And what did I do? Woke up and caught a falling knife. So see, I'm down already. $800 already. I'm in the hole. So what I got yesterday, I've given back almost all of it so far, but not yet. The day ain't over. It just started. We'll see how it goes though. Right now, I'm playing a counter trend for a bounce off of this, and we're still in the hole on that. So we'll see how this is going to work out for me. Um, yeah, I jumped in too soon. I definitely jumped in too soon. That being said, what's coming up is data. We got jobs, unemployment claims coming up at 8:30, and we got FMOC. Remember Mark Barkin speaks. That's a yellow folder. Other red folder that we got is we don't have any more red folders. We just got a yellow folder, orange folder, unemployment claims, and that's it for us. Natural gas, of course, today is Thursday. That usually moves it because of this Iran stuff and everything. See, like, look at that. It's going in. I should have kept, if I'd have kept that short, I'd still be down. Would I? Let me think about it. Yeah. I think, would I still be down if I had that short that I had? I sold 30, let's see, 167. I wouldn't be down by much. Yeah, look at that. I sold that. I lost 600 on that one. Not smart. I reversed. That's what got me, was that reversal. Should have just closed it out. So I woke up down 800, but down 681 already. Yeah, it ain't always sunshine and roses. And I tend to do this, man. I'll do good one day and bad the next, or bad one day and good the next. So, yeah, look at us. I think it's going to push for dropping, which is exactly what my first thought was. I couldn't hold through the pain though, so now I'm back in pain again, I guess. Yeah, like it's gonna be it could be $1,000 day, or we could get a reversal. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Right now we're sitting at the 200 on the 1 hour. If we break that, then we're bam. Yeah, and I'm gonna be down. Look at that. We're already breaking it. See, so now I will be green. Yeah, I will be getting green right now, making money, but no. Patience, man. So patience. So now what I gotta do, I could cut this loss and trade my way back up through the day. Or wait 15 minutes, see what this data does, and then go from there. Yeah, that's what we gotta do. We got 15 minutes before that unemployment claim, and we'll see what the market reaction is to that. Given by the direction that the market is going already, I got a strong feeling that this bitch is going to continue to drop out and fill this gap. We got a gap down here. What is it? This is where I thought it was going to stop at right here, and it didn't. See, that's what screwed me. But anyway, we could close this gap today off of that data, and they could sell because they're making money, making room for so they can run it up for SpaceX IPO next week. Could be that. Game is the game for sure. Sometimes you're on the right side, sometimes you're on the wrong. Right now, I'm in the hole on the wrong side. But we'll hold it. Let's see. The days just hadn't even started yet. We'll see how it goes. And this is not too far of a stretch. I'm not too far away. Like to catch this 1 hour on the 48. It's about 200 points up. Yeah, it could happen. Get that 200 points up, 200 pointer. And if I get that, that hits. That'll just give me, that'll break me about even. Yeah, because I'm down so much. So, Patience is where we at.
Yeah, it is. SOLS was a recent leader. Can I turn this from, does CNBC even have candle charts? Can I do that on here somehow? Display candle. There we go. I don't want a 1 minute chart. Thank you very much. Oh, I can't even get. I can't even get a. I can't get a daily chart. Are you serious? Or maybe if I go over here. There we go. Wow, these charts are archaic. Oh my goodness. I mean, not terrible, but not.
Got Matt in the background too. Takes that trade brigade rambling on. He waiting for
SOLS,
that
not a bad
data.
looking chart. I mean, it had a really nice IPO.
Yeah, I'm really kicking myself for not holding my short.
Yeah, it's flag. It's been a little bit.
Should have just been
A
patient,
little tough to get up and above this range, but SOLS,
but I wasn't,
leader-ish IPO.
and that gets me.
Anyway, let's close that up. Interesting headline there. Honeywell Aerospace spinning off.
That being
Bitcoin
said, I
mining
can trade and I can
sellers. Yeah, Michael Saylor
get that
dumping.
$1,000 down. That'll be no
Views,
problem.
equity sectors. How we doing on time? 8:16. We're fine. CrowdStrike's a buy, just not yet.
See how this goes. You gonna piggyback off Matt? Let y'all listen to that.
Again, save on your next trip. Sponsored credit card, no thanks, but rather just a booking app. Booking.com. Booking.yeah. We've got partner group warns it could cap more fund withdrawals after triggering private equity rout. There you have it. Private equity not really doing so hot as of right now. That's it through the big headlines this morning. I'd say the biggest thing is continuing to continuing to prepare for the SpaceX IPO, and of course your AVGO. I'm surprised I didn't write more about this. AVGO just kind of putting some downward pressure into the AI sector theme, semiconductor segment of the market as of this morning. So that's what we got through the big headlines this morning. Let's do what we do best. I'll meet you over at the ES Futures 4-hour time scale. Is it going to be the 4-hour time scale? Let me just double check. We're going to land where I want to land. No, we were going to land on notes. I don't want to land over on notes. I want to land on the ES, and I want to land over there on the 4-hour chart. Perfect. All right, grab yourself a sip of tea, coffee, water, whatever it is you've got at the desk this morning. I've got a piping hot cup of coffee, coffee from Vietnam, nonetheless. And we'll see you over at the screens in just a moment. How about that? 3, 2, 1. Grab a sip. I'll see you over there. Ah, love it. Absolutely love it. Whew. Let's take another red hot sip of this coffee.
Stop sell. Stop sell.
Beauty. Absolute beauty. Ripper. Okay, ES futures on the 4-hour time scale. How are we doing on people? We got about 310 billion people up here in the office. We'll do the giveaway stuff once we hit closer to like 40 billion people up here in the office. How about that? All right. Once we hit 40 billion, we'll talk about what you need to do there. All right, ES futures 4-hour time scale. What's going on here from a trend perspective? Yesterday we did see a little bit of a sell, right? Is anybody shocked? Anybody shocked? I think if you go back and, I certainly have the archive pathing, but the archive pathing had primarily down arrows related to it, right? There's, of course, some kind of open that would have been consolidation sideways, but we kind of knew, or at least we're open minded to the idea that you could pull back underneath the multi day low, come in here, and do something in this neighborhood, right? Not going to be unreasonable. Okay. So in my view, first red day, not the worst thing in the world. There's still room to pull back. I would say we've mostly pulled back, or we've done a decent job continuing to pull back through the overnight session towards what I would reference as the key inflection point in here, right? As we've talked about in the past, this zone down at 75.15s, give or take, we've said 75.15 to about 75.12. Ooh, saving the bell with that too. Or that, I guess it looks like a Z, but nonetheless, that one. 75.15, 75.12, this area right here where the daily 20 SMA is in the prior left side peak, the previous lows from back here, that would make a decent opportunity for a little flag on the hourly chart, and you just flag out for a 4-hour higher low. Not a bad look. Not a bad look whatsoever. So ES futures in the 4-hour still have an opportunity for that higher low, and I would just maintain the opportunity with the stance as long as we're over to this 75.15, right? 75.15, ooh, 71, 75. 15, just said it, I'll say it again. There's really not enough here for me to say, like, oh my God, duck and cover markets are going to go to zero and we're crashing and burning and it's going to be so ugly and this, that, the other. It's just not the way the market's unfolding if we're over this level at 75.15. So, with that, I think let's maybe acknowledge the bear case, right? If you're a bear in this market, if you're like, nope, this market's going to crash and burn, we're going to go to zero, then fine. I think it's very obvious what needs to happen. You have to break that level clearly. If the
Iceberg
overshoot,
buy.
I would still think of this
Stock
personally
sell.
through the lens of a
Stock
4-hour higher
sell.
low. But if the 1 hour cannot then reclaim that 75.15, if you just get high, lower high, and you start to build this out, and then you're failing back underneath this left side peak with a lower high in here, you're bearish where? Either right here on the lower high, if you could spot it intraday, or as you pass through this low, I would expect, maybe that's a little bit of a deep arrow there. Let's try that one more time. I would expect kind of a move into this spot, right? That makes a heck of a lot of sense. And then we say, okay, you got your micro head and shoulders here, but what about the macro head and shoulders here, right? That would kind of be the next step. So if you're a bear, I mean, I could see and I can acknowledge the path that you're looking to take, but I can't really acknowledge as of right now being overly bearish. I am bullish until proven otherwise. Bullish until proven otherwise. Upo. Until proven otherwise. Doesn't just roll off the tongue. I wish that one did. Anyway, so looks good on the 4-hour time scale. I still think that although we do have a pullback shaping up here, I don't think we want to be overly bearish into this level unless off the open we just get, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, right? If we just get solid 15-minute bars that are solid red bodies, just closing weak on the 15-minute low, 15-minute low, 15-minute low, yeah, I mean, we'll reevaluate at that point. We'll probably say something like, okay,
Iceberg
why on
buy.
earth is the
Iceberg
market
buy.
kind of getting sloshed around like that when we're technically pulling back over previous resistance that can act as support? And by the way, like, this is not just like speculative support. You've already seen it once, twice, right? You had previous resistance act once, twice as newfound support. So it's not like we're stretching the imagination here and saying, "Oh my God, you know, can you like this previous resistance? Fingers crossed, toes crossed, pray to the market gods, it's going to hold, right?" No, I mean, we've seen evidence here that buyers have stepped up in the past. Are they going to step up again? That's like the $1,000,000 question. That's it. That's it. So I think 4-hour case closed. We can all see this as being a 4-hour high or low. We could all see this as being a head and shoulders. If we rally, close the gap above, break underneath this level, that would be concerning. In here, right, becomes concerning. Through the equal low becomes concerning. We could see the bear case, right? FJ says, even if we drop below this, isn't it still technically some kind of a higher low? Sure. Yeah, I mean, I technically can't disagree with you, right? You have a higher low. This is just the ideal. I'm speaking in terms of ideals for the pullback. That would be the ideal, but you're right. I mean, if we do this, I would firstly take a bit more of a neutral approach, just because we're failing back into the 2-week balance range, excuse me, from back here. But you're not technically wrong. Right? A higher low, if we support over this, what was this 74.20s, right? If we support over 74.20s and kind of just do something here and then we're here, yeah, right there, I would say this is your 4-hour high or low. If the hourly trend can flip to up before breaking, maybe there's a way to get involved here, but that would then just be the next obvious place to get involved back over the left side peak. So, that's the way markets go for sure. Absolutely. But this would be at least a short-term threat that we should acknowledge. Let's go on down to the hourly chart. Let's get granular with this thing. Let's take a look at the hourly time scale and see exactly what's going on here from the hourly trend perspective. So, if you didn't watch last night's episode of the midweek market update, absolutely go back and watch that. But anybody who could tell me exactly how many times I said the term failed breakout, anybody who can quote the exact number of times, it must be in the magnitudes of, I don't know, 1 times 10, or sorry, not 1, but rather 3.78 times 10 to the 20th power, perhaps. That's the number of times I said failed breakout last night. And I think, this is kind of exactly that, right? You had yourself a nice rally over the Monday high. You had a little inside bar on Tuesday. And then Wednesday comes around and says, forget about breaking out. We're going lower, right? So just bearish, right? Bearish in the short term, a little bit of double topping action. Very clear that this level is, the danger zone. We talked about that intraday. That was very clear. Expecting a break through that, but they did a majority of the work. They did a majority of the damage here through the overnight session, right? We technically closed 15-minute extended session on futures here, but here in the cash. So what does this kind of signal? Don't really think it's like overly bearish. In my view, this is liquidation break from anybody who is long from up here. Anybody who's long and disappointed from the highs, like, ooh, yikes, this is ugly, this is not good, probably does what underneath these lows? This is a stop loss, right? If you're long from here, you have a stop somewhere underneath the 2-day equal lows. I mean, you just got thrashed, right? And that's fine. You got stopped. Reevaluate. So I think you had buyers from poor location closing out. I don't necessarily think this is new money longs. This, of course, is Broadcom earnings, right? AVGO putting the pressure on in the downward direction through the overnight session. I don't necessarily think it's organic sell everything, sell everything, sell everything. I think it's just we're reacting, we're taking some profit on Broadcom. Broadcom's daily chart's going to look like a failed breakout, of course. So that's the look to me. On the hourly chart, the trend has flipped it down, right? We did not hold this area. We are getting a lower low inherently through here, but naturally based on the open being underneath this area right here, which was the top of the 2-day balance range. We talked about this quite a bit yesterday. This would have been hourly higher low if you could have held above it and then reclaimed this right here, right? Look below and fail, something that does this, and then we're up, right? I heard Buffett dumped billions into Google AI yesterday. Buffett is getting a special allocation for about 10 billion on Google's offering and fundraise. So there's that. It's nothing. It's no secret. There's no edge there. Anyways, ES, this lower high underneath this 2-day balance range is not really, not really what the bulls wanted to see from an hourly trend continuation perspective. They wanted to see it pull back above, reclaim the lows, the 2-day balance range in here, and then higher, right? So that is what we'll watch out for potentially today, right? That'll be the configuration. I think one of the biggest threats is just going to be a lower high underneath that on the hourly chart. If we rally here on the hourly and we start rejecting in this neighborhood around this 75.75, which is the level we talked about yesterday, if you reject 75.75, you just get yourself a lower high, and then what? You're probably talking about equal low, and then you're probably talking about that 4-hour test in here, right? That's going to be around your 75.15. So I think we could see how the time frames work together. Is anybody shocked about how the time frames work together? I don't.
Man, I'm really hoping we don't close this gap today. It could happen, maybe. This is on the 4 hour.
I guess technically that was inside, so it's a 3-day range. You broke it sloppily yesterday. If you reject it more cleanly today, equal low, then you're here, 4-hour level. So this is 1 hour lower high, just to be very clear. This is 4-hour higher low attempt. Okay, right around in sloppy double bottom, but it's technically drawn. I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's just the shade not getting direct sunlight through the office window this morning, but let's go ahead and throw on a little bit of a layer. Gotta throw just a little something on, take the bite out of the air. The AC's off, but still something's going on there. We do have about 2 minutes to go, minute and a half to go until the jobless claims come out. Let's go ahead and zip this bad boy up. And let's take a peek at the 15-minute chart. We're also pretty close to getting about 40 billion people up here in the office, in which we will start to ask for some. If you'd like to participate, you can participate, but you don't have to if you don't want to on the squat giveaway there. Anyways, ES futures on a 15-minute time scale as we approach the jobless claims, and we get a funky zoom from Thinkorswim. Always love that type of glitch on a morning. Zooming in, looks like we got a slightly new overnight low. Is that real? I guess so. Bring that down. What are we working with here? I just think that for the most part, we've got our levels well defined, and we're just playing in that sandbox, right? So yesterday, you saw the opening drive, you saw the all morning drift, right? You broke the low and then snapped back in. This is because the sectors were technically rotating yesterday, right? If you were just short in the whole smack on the low of day, I think that was a mistake. I think it was an avoidable mistake. Why do I think it was an avoidable mistake? Because if you just looked at this, like all you had to do was have a sector market miner window up. You just looked at this and said, half are green, half are red. You're probably not going to follow through in a big way. And like, fine, no problem, right? You kind of wicked through the lows on the higher time frame, then came back above. The close was weak. I'll give the bears that. But intraday, the fact that you didn't follow through all that much underneath that level, I think due to sector rotation, right? Sector rotation, something that looks like that. So that should be top of mind as and if you're trading this market. Do we see today just Armageddon sell everything? They have to be selling healthcare, energy, consumer staples, real estate, industrials. you got to sell it all. If it's going to be an Armageddon breakdown, if you're going to get a large red-bodied bar, if the market's going to be down 2% or whatever, then you're going to need to see everything red in this column right here. If that's not the case, then just good luck, right? So with that, I think we kind of understand what's going on here. This is the 2-day, now 3, or it would have been 3. Day balance range low, and this is your 4-hour higher low, and this is just the midpoint, if you will, and the single prints. Remember, single prints don't count as being technically quote unquote repaired until it happens in the regular hours. So let's definitely pay attention to that. All right, we got 8:30 on the clock. JC, our senior news correspondent, has us covered in the chat with breaking news. U.S. initial jobless claims actual comes out at 225,000. Yikes, that's a little bit hotter than the forecast and certainly creeping up towards the upper bound of where we've been recently. That's initial claims. And then on continuing claims, we've got ourselves 1.77 mil. 1.77, what's the third digit there? 7 straight across the board. This is on continuing claims. And the forecast there was for 1.78. So it comes in a little bit lighter on continuing claims. This is a beat. This is a miss. I think the general picture is for an unchanged unemployment rate coming on Friday, tomorrow. And as we saw with the ADP non-farm previews, you might be flat to maybe slightly down on non-farm payroll tomorrow morning. That would be my sort of forecast or idea or guess, if you will. Zoltan, weakness in the labor market's always been bullish because it means that the Fed is going to step in and be supportive. Bad news is good news, just like good news is bad news, right? That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Play the game. Play the game. You know we got to play the game. All right. Let's go ahead and clear this up. Let's go ahead and take a look through the Scott says, I don't know about that. Well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but think or swim. That one, it was egregious. What am I looking at here? What am I looking at? What a terrible keyboard shortcut. It's if you control scroll wheel on your mouse, you get funky zoom.
All right, so you heard it from Matt. Jobs data was
So sensitive. I think that actually is back to where it was.
jobs data. Unemployment claims is forecast is 214. We got 225.
All right, let's
So we got more than we expected, but what that's supposed to signal is that the Fed maybe like the jobs market is hurt. So then what they'll do is they'll lower interest rates, and that creates better loan conditions for companies and businesses, and then they'll take out more money, hire more people, and keep the wheel going. Lower rates is what people like, not higher rates, but we got that new Fed chair coming. He might keep rates high anyway, but we'll see how it goes. So that was that. And the reaction from that was slightly bullish, but barely. Nothing dramatic. Slightly. Came out at 8:30. That's all we got. That is all we got. Just a little bit. Well, we got a little bit more than a little bit. Like if we look at it on the 1 minute, let's see what we got. On the 1 minute at 8:30. Yeah, we were going up a little bit, but now we're pulling back. We're still under the 200. Not good for me. We need to be above this 200 and continue on this 1 minute. So I'm gonna hold this long in hopes that the market starts and bounces, gets above this. But right now we are down, dog, and I'm only looking to get halfway. But let's go. We can get it. We can get it. That'll get us even. Get us back in range. But yesterday's range. Just chop around. I won't complain about that. I ain't complaining now though. Shoot, it is what it is. But I definitely shouldn't have went short early this morning. Caught that, and then I shouldn't have reversed it. All right, I'm gonna go back to Matt. Let y'all listen to it because I like listening to Trey Brigade also. So I'm gonna listen to him go on. I like when he does his analysis. All right, here we go.
All right, let's continue along. See what else is going on here with our 3.5 questions. Let's remain committed to the
We're
process.
pulling
Now,
back.
before we stay committed to the process, heads up, we will be doing a Live Squawk monthly trial giveaway. It's not really a giveaway because someone's gifting this. Very generous member from the Live Squawk has kind of gotten into this monthly habit of gifting a membership to some folks who want to test it out, maybe. So the way that we've been doing it, oh wow,
5
numbers are up
minutes
to 43
curling.
billion people up here in the office now. Do not put a comment in the live chat box because there's no way that we can go back and find them. But once the stream concludes, if you'd like to be considered for a
Put
trial
something up
month or a month for free, however you want to phrase it, if you want to come hang out in the live squawk for a month and see what it's all about, if you think that having that extra edge, that intraday commentary, what's strong, what's weak, where are the best opportunities, what stocks are in play, what stocks are not in play, where should the focus be, is it a long, is it a short, what are the swing trades doing, what is this, that, if you think that'd be helpful to your process, and you just need that extra little push up and over the hump to get towards profitability, let us know in the comment section. One more time, let me say it clearly: do not leave a chat. I will not be able to find your comment in the chat. So once the stream concludes, because I don't think you leave a comment as the stream is ongoing, correct me if I'm wrong, but once the stream is over, place a comment under the video by 4 p.m. That's the cutoff, right? At 4 p.m., the videos go to the not members only, but they get listed to the what do you call it? What do you call it? What do you call it? I can't even can't even think of the own thing. The floor traders over here on the YouTube thing, right? At 4 p.m., the videos flip to floor traders, and the live stream from the morning kind of goes away. So let us know in a sentence, please, in a sentence, maximum 2 sentences, what you're working with in your trading, like where you think you could use a little bit of help, what you think is like the last missing piece of the puzzle. And the generous donor will either be the one to read and pick, or we've had this little tradition of the last person who got the gifted membership, they can read through and pick, see what story resonates with them. But please don't make us read a novel, all right? If you leave something that's 3, 4, 5 sentences long because you're really trying to tell that story, as much as I appreciate the detail, it's too hard to read all the stories that are 900 characters long or
Just
whatever.
heard a sound.
1 sentence maximum, please. Trust me.
Something just hit. Oh,
Really need to, here's an example.
good news. 50 bucks made. Okay. That's on our September contract, the one we're chipping away at, the one that we're about to start. As soon as the June contract is up. So we got our $40 a day. Let's go. So that one we did. We did what we're supposed to do. We're gonna stay out of it. We got 50 over there. So now we're back on this June contract, the current contract. And let's see. We still got some work to do over here. This is the one that we trade though. And are we? Yeah, so we're finally green on this position. Um, still 6 down. 6 down. We need to break up, like I said, we need to get up to this 200. We get up to the 200 on this 5-minute chart, and that'll be our target. That's our target. All right, back to Matt.
It's not the right mindset to be in when it comes to trading, honestly, and trading is not the best way to make your money back. You need disposable income to trade. Unfortunately, I know it's not a sexy headline, but you got to have some money to make money in trading.
Have some money to make money. Can't play with what you're scared to lose.
All right, I think we've covered that well enough. Again, leave a comment. Leave a comment. Do not leave it in the chat here. Do not leave it in the chat. Comment underneath the video between 9:30, well, I guess whenever the stream ends, and 4 p.m. Okay? Eastern time, the golden time zone, the best time zone. All right, let's get this show on the road. 3.5 questions. We got 8:37 on the clock. Boy, oh boy, we're behind. Let's get the job done. Number 1, where are we opening relative to the previous day's range? Here's the previous day's range. We are opening on a true gap down. We are opening underneath the previous day's low. Down arrow on question number 1.
Sweet sellers.
2.
Sweet sellers.
Number 1.5. There we go. Number 1.5, where are we opening relative to the previous day's value? Here's the previous day's value area. We're opening underneath that. right, naturally, via the gap down. But is there bearish buffer? Yes, there's a little bit of bearish buffer. If you rally into the previous day's low and technically overshoot it by a hair, you have your overnight high value area low, one and the same, almost Stevie Ray Vaughan in double trouble. Reject that. That's technically bearish. Let's move along to question number 2. Where are we opening relative to the previous days? I shouldn't say previous days, but just the overnight range. Here's the overnight low. Here's the overnight high. You can see that we're opening in the midpoint. It's a little bit more neutral on question number 2. Sky's got us covered with, I'm assuming, the AI transcript read. Exact phrase, failed breakout breakouts. 22 similar comments. Whew. Or no, sorry, 22 similar comments plus 3, so almost 25. Wow. That's that's something. That is something. Transcripts are cool. I heard something that which makes very good sense, but the YouTube algorithm these days doesn't care about what the title of the video is, doesn't care about what the tags or the description says. YouTube algorithm just goes based on what the transcript says. So you title your video, market crash, but then you start talking about rainbows and butterflies, and next thing you know, I don't know, fluffy cotton candy is going to go on sale at the circus. Your video is going to be, it's going to go with the fluffy cotton candy. So let me stop talking about that and talk more about these ES futures here. ES futures, S&P 500, NASDAQ, market, crash, this, up.
Hello? Man, shit.
Market, crash, this, up, down, whatever. Number 3, where are we opening relative to the previous day's settlement? Right there. Getting that SEO done. Previous day settlement closed, same thing over here. You can see we're opening, majority of the time spent overnight underneath that. We've kind of neutralized through this action here, but not really doing anything that continues to press the bet on the net short side. This is fairly balanced after the Broadcom earnings crash, so to speak. Right, so I don't want to say that we're overly net short. We are net short, but not overly. I'd probably say something in the neighborhood of about 60%. Right, the abacus, the dueling abacus eye, that's plural. They are on the desk, but for the sake of time this morning, we'll go with 60%. Okay, those are your 3.5 questions. Let's go sip and poof real quick because it's 8:40, and let's keep moving here. 3, 2, 1, poof. What do we have as it relates to the ES pathing? Well, I mean, generally speaking, gap rules are in play. So gap rules light the way. Let's say GR over here for gap rules. Number 1, what would we typically look for? Look below and fail the overnight low, reclaim the opening print, target the previous day's close, right? That's kind of all the gap rules in one, right? Something like that that looks like this. That's like the base case. I just don't even want to waste the time writing out the full gap rules. We know the gap rules by now. I think we should know the gap rules by now. If you don't know them, boy, oh boy, where have you been? So, do I really want to look for a look below and fail of the overnight low to then target the gap close? No, there's not enough risk reward here. I'm not shorting, or excuse me, longing with a stop into the low of day for risk reward like that. But if you could find it here, that makes a little bit more sense, right? If this higher low is going to be tradable over the opening print, fine, close the gap that way. Or maybe if you're astute enough as a trader, you can
Get it.
drill down to your 2-minute, 1-minute time frame or whatever, find a higher low here, like a inverted head and shoulders with the low. Then you could say risk reward back to the opening print, through the opening print is gravy, back to your previous day's low, right? So the framework would call for a kind of look below and fail the overnight low, trap sellers to 50s, down to about 75, 38. just like that. Excuse me. That looks good to me. And then underneath 75.15, let me just go dumpster diving for levels in the archive here. Underneath 75.15, what would we have underneath 75.15? Really got to go dumpster diving in the archive to find what's below 75.15. Wow. Dumpster diving. All right. 74.70. 74.70. Probably should have known that a little bit more offhand, but that's all right. Shout out offhand. Haven't seen offhand in the chat in a little while, but hopefully everything's going well offhand. Okay. 74.70 right there. Top side, this level in here where we kind of got that lower high inflection point yesterday, that's right at your like 7,600, 75, 90s, right? So let's just say 75, 95. I mean, and this is kind of it for your simplified pathing, right? Really, sticking with the gap rules framework is going to be the first thought. If we do have, remember, gap rule number 4 is wagged fee. It's always fun to say, but go with all gaps that don't fill immediately. If this is just consolidating down here, right, let's maybe draw in a little descending triangle. You want to go with that.
Sweep
Of course,
fires.
we'll hit this with our cyan
Stop
fran
bottom.
as,
Sweep fires. Sweep fires.
let's say that's a
Stop
VWAP,
bottom.
right? VWAP. Okay, not bad. That'll do. That'll do for today's session. I think also here's an opportunity that it's going to muck up the chart, so I'm not going to leave it on here, but I'll just quickly blast it in. Not impossible. I mean, look at what happened through the overnight session as the market's digesting the Broadcom situation. Just going sideways between 75.50 and the overnight low, basically, would not be insane or unheard of or impossible or shocking. I don't want to see that setup. It's really less of a tradable setup, but it's not going to be shocking if it happens that way, right? I think primarily I would like to see, this of course is always number 1. This would be number 2, gap fill reversal, that is. This would be 3 over here for the 4-hour high or low. I'd say 4 would be this, 5 would be wagged fee, and then 6 would be this. Why 6 that? Because honestly, I want to see the pullback. I want to see the market reset a little bit here, right? It's also it's a Thursday, so we'll see how the name numbers come in. Pretty fluffy last Thursday. A week ago today, they came in at 98, whatever. So that's a little fluffy, and typically means that you're going to fail breakout. So is it really, is anybody shocked after a 98 name number last week? I don't think it's, worth being like gobsmacked, like, oh my god, I can't believe the market's failing these breakouts. Kind of makes sense. I mean, we're at the highest high of the trend count. We're pretty, fully invested when it comes to active managers. I don't know, I'm not like, I'm not totally shocked. I think pullbacks are good, healthy. Sideways is good. All right. So that's it. Let me grab and gulp on the. That sounds bad. I mean, it's showing up in the Amazon Prime subscription over to Beth Bezos for the trademarked comment, but grab a screenshot and gulp the coffee. Let me just be explicit about that. Grab the screenshot, gulp the coffee. Okay, that's what it is. Let's archive this bad boy, and then we'll move on over into a Spider's Cash ETF read. Excuse me, a little sniffly. I had an appointment last night to take care of that, but apparently all I did was get my ears checked. Anyway. What did I want to do? I think I want to take this and just refresh it for 8:45. Yes, that is what I want to do. Copy pasta. All right, let's see what the agents want to spin up for us in the next 15 minutes. All right. Poof, there it is. We miss you. We miss you, Jay Clark. Come back. Give us the sipping and poofing. Spiders Cash ETF, what do we got going on over here? 44 billion people up in the office. If you missed what I was saying earlier, you can not apply, but you can enter the possibility for a donated Live Squawk membership by commenting on the video after the stream ends. With one sentence. If it's more than one sentence, automatically disqualified. Okay, make it easy for us. One sentence, brief comment. What do you need help with in your trading? Right? What's that last thing you need to clean up? And then you're up and over the edge of profitability. Spiders Cash ETF. You can see we're opening weak in this bear flag consolidation, just like the ES. Who would have guessed? Same concepts, different numbers. So where are we opening? Right on the 751.75. As we described in last night's episode of the midweek market update, if you didn't watch it, go back and watch it. Sky got us covered with the exact number of times we said failed breakout. It's in the neighborhood of 25 times. 22 with 3 similars. Generally, this is not necessarily a failed breakout in the Spider's Cash, just because you never really broke the 2-day equal high. But if you did want to treat it as like, here's your Friday range, we tried to break out, now we're under Friday's low, you could call that a failed breakout. So is this the microscopic head and shoulders here? Yeah, I mean, you're kind of opening weak already. Main name of the game is to watch the gap rules, right? We are looking for a rally that rejects previous day's low. If we then fail underneath 751.75, this is that same thing. Wash it out to the 4-hour higher low, and then we're here. This is the same thing we just covered on the ES 4-hour ideal higher low, 1-hour trend change back to up, and then this is your 1-hour lower high to start, right? Beautiful. Same concepts, different numbers. Okay, those are your little pathing ideas on the spiders as it relates to setting that daily higher low over the left side peak. Right? Left side peak is what matters. The key hold here is at 748.75. 748.75. If you overshoot that, so a little bit of room here, not much, but a little bit of leeway for the 20 SMA to act supportive in this neighborhood. I know a lot of folks are big fans of the good old fashioned 21 EMA. Shout out to, of course, our buddy Bill. Bill O'Neill. Come on, man. Give us the Hitmas method. Let's go over here. I always like the simple, but I've been coming around a little bit to the 821 fib numbers, the combos. I know everybody else uses it, whatever. Your 21 EMA is just a touch underneath the 21 SMA, or sorry, the 20 SMA. So interesting. Nonetheless, we'll see whether or not those things can pull themselves up north into that 748.75 level. All right. Some folks are going to crash out today without PDT rules. Is today the day? I thought yesterday was maybe the day. I thought it was June 3rd. And then maybe it's end of day June 3rd and instituted on June 4th. Regardless. It was Webby. Shout out Webby. Anyhow, there's sort of your 8 EMAs smack on the low from yesterday. You pulled right back into it. You're gapping down slightly below it this morning. You're going to be right here. And then your 21 is going to be slowly creeping higher as well. So once again, I think the name of the game, and we've been pretty clear about my expectations here. I don't want the hourly set like that anymore. What do I want here? Just give this a reset like that. Here we go. I think the name of the game is like, ultimately, this pullback can continue. That's fine. Gap fill reversal. Keep the lower high on the hourly. 4-hour / daily higher low here. Let's rock. Right? Let's rock. Depends on the broker. It's tomorrow. Ooh, flippin' Ohio with the 5 gifted memberships this morning. Very generous of you on a Thursday situation. Shout out to the 5 new gifted members there. All right. Spider's Cash ETF mission accomplished. 748.75 key level. If we do reclaim previous day's low, if we're doing something that looks like this, keep in mind an 8 EMA reclaim, you're probably going to get like tip-top momentum players saying like, oh look, it's just back to being bullish again, send it to highs. So that would be a very, very shallow pullback. I don't want that. If I'm being honest about what I want this. I want this so we can do this. I want this so we can do this in the future. I don't just want this and this and then this and then this. That's not what I want. I want this and then I want that. Right? If we're just shallow here, break, fail, oh my god, it's extended, it's still this, we didn't reset enough, we go sideways, maybe we have to wait for 3 weeks tight. Maybe it's that. Is that what it's going to take? I hope not. I don't want to sit through a boring June, head into July, summer trading. Everybody's like pumped up for the 4th of July. Nobody's at the trading desks, and breakouts just fizzle from the 3 weeks tight. Show me the pullback. Show me the pullback. Spider's done. Let's jump on over to the. Every time. Let's jump on over to this NQ futures chart, see what's going on here from a 4-hour perspective, and see what we got. Let's also fire up what do the agents have for us this morning. Anything good here that's we didn't pull out already? Quantum. QNT IPO. That's a good reminder. I think Djibouti had us with that one yesterday, reminding us in the chat. Maybe it was other folks as well. Djibouti's all over those things, though, so shout out there. That's a good reminder. Thanks, AI. Navitas headline, relative strength outlier. Sure. Let's copy that desk note. Paste that in there in just a moment. Okay. Do I have any interest in Leopold holding of Bitcoin miners? I mean, yes. I think you gave NBIS the golden blessing, and happy to be long NBIS. Would like to see some more entries on NBIS, but anyway. Okay, what do we have here on the NQ? We've got ourselves a gentle pullback shaping up. You can see this lower wick coming in through the pre-market session. Is there a 4-hour high or low opportunity here? Absolutely. This is your little balance range. Break, brigade bolt above that as long as we're over 29.5. We talked about this level yesterday. We'll talk about it again today. 29.5, as long as we're over that, we're looking A-okay. Looking pretty darn good. No problem. So plenty of room. You could keep the pullback going. You could get your hourly, downtrend and whatnot, 4-hour flag, and then bounce off this level. I wouldn't complain one bit. Let's go on over to the hourly chart. Speaking of, that's the 15. Misclick. Let's go to the hourly. There we go. Let's get all the time frames complete here. So, actually, what is this nonsense? Yeah, just too many levels, actually, on the... I mean, it's technically where it needs to be, but too many levels on this darn NQ. It's too incremental, which just kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Just throwing on that upper level. It's the same thing as the value area high. If you don't, if you're in the group and you downloaded the levels already, then don't worry. There's no change from value area high 3070. Sorry, 3702. So what does this tell us on the hourly chart? Is this the hourly head and shoulders? Maybe. So I would just primarily be interested in this level right here. Does the market or does the market not reject this 30,435, 430, 430 right there? If the market rejects this neighborhood, then great. You kind of have your hourly lower high that's shaping up. Yesterday we did make a brand new all-time high in the NQ. So an hourly. Let's be clear. This is the hourly chart. A 1-hour lower high underneath previous day's low, underneath this neighborhood, yeah, I mean, there's your hourly head and shoulders, and then underneath the neckline, the door is open for this. Gap closing here, 20 SMA, as we just talked about, 29.5, a little bit deeper, right in there. 29.5, right here. Okay? That is what we got on that one. What is this? What is this guy? Who is this guy? Nixon 4, Mr. Hans Dolce. This is not a basketball stream. I can understand that some people like basketball, and that's cool, but no need to spam it. No need to spam it. We get it. You like the Knicks. That's cool. All right, let's go from the NQ hourly. Oh, goodness. Just when I think I get that fresh ocean air in my lungs, go right back to the city and get the polluted Potomac. Let's grab a sip of this coffee and go to the 15-minute chart. NQ 15-minute time scale. What do we have here? Same concepts, different numbers as the ES. A little bit of a bounce coming in off the lows, but you had a bit more of an aggressive downtick over here. The other thing, not to spill too much of the beans, but Raymond James gave MU a little bit of a downdraft this morning. What was happening here? They kind of made the cyclical call, saying that mid 26 is what they forecast as being the end of the build out for memory. I don't know. I think there's the classic old argument was that memory and hardware like that was cyclical. Boom bust, boom bust, boom bust. But in a cutting edge environment where there's like a new chip every other month or whatever. I mean, Nvidia just announced a brand new chip. Micron, I'm sure, is working on their latest stuff. Everybody's working on their latest stuff. if you're going to stay competitive in AI, wouldn't you think that you're going to put the latest and greatest out there? So I don't know. It's certainly putting a headwind into MU right now. And like these things could cool off. Don't get me wrong. Does MU deserve a pullback after this gnarly rally in here? Yeah, of course it does. It deserves a pullback. It could come in. It could shape up for a higher low and then go. Right. So I don't know. I want to respect this downdraft, but I don't necessarily think that the overall argument from the Raymond James article is valid. I think it's more of just a short-term catalyst for this morning's open. Nonetheless, as we can see here, you're opening on a gap down, so gap rules are in play. What does that mean in terms of our simplified pathing for the NQ? Let's get the job done over here. This kind of idea is fine. I think you want to look for gentle overshoot, not much, but gentle overshoot of that 30,430 zone. A lower high underneath sends you back down towards the overnight low, in which case you drift lower, and then we have that gap to close underneath us. I actually want to have that on the screen, or at least the top of the gap. There we go. At least the top of the gap in yellow. That's fine. Just extend this out a little bit more like that. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's just get our positioning correct. Here, right back to that's kind of opening print. Consolidate here, and then that's bears. That's bears. What else could go on here? This is quag fee, right? This is strong reclaim, and probably neutral. I'd say this then turns into a long towards the all-time highs.
Iceberg sell.
Right?
Iceberg sell.
That's that one. If this is going to, let's say that we rally into range and then pull back, that's your higher low there. If this just bounces, let's say that we look below and fail the overnight low and can get long there, I mean, that's a long as well. That's LBAF. Look below and, oh no. Bullish. Why? Because the overnight low is only being set based on Broadcom earnings failure, right? That's here, and then the MU catalyst here. It's for semiconductors. So if you don't go any further than that, semis aren't weak, then probably bullish, right? Back to the previous day's level. Consolidate, reclaim, and go. Okay. So that's that. Let's go ahead and cyan cran this thing. Let's make sure we got our levels on here. The value area high zone up there is, again, that's 30,000, excuse me, 30,700. Slap that on. What do we have in here? This is that 430 spot. Where do I want to put that number? Oh boy, 430, sneaky, right there. This overnight low is the level I'd focus on, is 165, roughly. This level in here is the 30,080. Same level we had talked about in the past. Top of the gap is a 29,000 handle. So let's say 29. I don't like that 2 or that 9, as a matter of fact. We got 902 on the clock, by the way.
Stop
So
buying.
we're getting the job done. We're just a little bit behind schedule here. 29,000, what is it? 825. Okay. It's top of gap. TOG.
Stop buying.
Top of gap,
Stop
as we've been
buying.
saying prior. Okay. That's kind of it. That's the primary things I would be thinking about. Once again, your pathing rank order, if you will, would be like number 1 for this gap fill reversal, retest the lows. Honestly, given the market conditions right now, I wouldn't really mind this. Look below and fail. Shaping up, I just don't think I want to see it back to the highs. I'd prefer that you go sideways through here on the look below and fail. Right? I think number 3 would just be a gwagged fee. The pullback continues to intensify. They take more profit in the tech names. They sell semiconductors. They sell software. They sell everything. Right? The pullback intensifies. This could be like 3.5. Over here, this would be 4. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it just because I want the market to pull back. I want a little bit of a reset out there. Right? Shout out Craig Cameron Music. Matt, I'm about to have a 2-year anniversary listening to you. Thanks from the...
When the future first arrives, we often don't recognize it. Interactive Brokers founder Thomas Petterfy brought the future to the floor of the American Stock Exchange in 1983. The company had fabricated Wall Street's first mobile computer, and it changed finance forever. Today, Interactive Brokers continues to push finance forward by building the latest technology you need to increase your success. Move your account to Interactive Brokers.
Alright, let me grab a screenshot of this, and we will grab a screenshot, and then I will gulp my coffee, I don't know. I might have to do something with the Amazon Prime membership, Beth. I don't know if I can keep it up. It's just today. I guess it's just really getting to me, saying that one over and over. There's the NQ pathing. That's where that needs to be, which means I can also take this out for a spin. And let's take a look at this. And let's just say, there we go. That's, I think this is going to be the new format. That way, nothing gets lost in translation. Thanks, agents. Cool. Very cool. Kimble the Nimble, 5 months up in the office. Love it. Viewer since April 24. Changed the skills. Gotta love it. Ocean Eagle, 20 months up here in the office.
Iceberg
A
cell.
lot of people.
Iceberg
A
cell.
lot of months. All right, let's clear it up. We ready? 3, 2, 1. Poof. Let's jump into our QQQ Cash ETF. Let's speed round it on the Russell, and then we'll hit the core list of companies there. Okay, on the QQQ Cash ETF, what do we see here? There's your failed breakout. You want to talk about a failed breakout, it's more happening over here on the Qs, right? You can see very clearly they had this flat shelf, boom, boom. You gapped above it, came back in, lower high underneath, and now this morning we're opening lower. A lot of little incremental levels in here. I'd say if you want to focus on the largest, most important level, it's just
Stop
pretty
sell.
much going to be
Stop
underneath
sell.
this is dangerous. Anything above that is fine on a pullback perspective. So where are we opening? We're opening right here, which is to translate to right here. So on this gap down open, rally rejections of previous day's low, turn us over, pull back to here. Right? We just talked about the gap on the NQ futures. That's right there, 724.15. If you support this one, that's fine as well. Something right along there. Okay? If you do just rally into the previous day's range, I don't want to see that, right? Because now ultimately this is just a gap down that was bought up. I mean, we would read into that as a bullish sign, right? Let's just be very clear. Although I don't want to see it because I'd prefer the market to settle down and offer a pullback and then make a move. If we do just get gap down, bought up, and into the previous day's range, I mean, inherently that's going to be bullish, right? You can't look at that and say, oh no, it's bearish, and the sellers are really hammering this thing. How? Right? Just not at all. If this gaps down, rallies into range, who's in control? Buyers, right? So we just need to make sure that they're sturdy enough buyers and not, buyers buying this thing with their last penny, hoping that we're going to break out for another 20% in the upward direction. So give us this. Give me a pullback or give me death. 731.15 would be ideal, something along those lines, previous top end of the balance range, or if you're further than that doing this, no problemo. Let's try that with the pathing simplified here. Right? Either you're here, great. You're here, great. Right? You're here, don't like, don't like. It's bullish, but don't like. Those ideas are more prominent, in my view, on your Q's pathing. All right? That is that one. All right, let's clear it up. Let's speed round. 9:08 on the clock. Let's speed around the Russell. We'll just stick with the higher time frame interpretation on the 4-hour. Generally speaking, you're not having as much of a headwind over here because your Broadcom earnings, your heavyweight tech, AI, semiconductor nonsense. I shouldn't even say nonsense because it's the backbone of the market right now. But you're not getting, a
Stop
Jensen
sell.
comment about
Stop
Marvell
sell.
pushing this Russell up and out, just like you're not getting a Broadcom earnings report crushing this thing in the after hours. You're just kind of neutral through here. As we saw in the headlines this morning, there is some kind of movement. I didn't remember if it was the Senate, Congress, House, whatever. I don't know where it's going on, but there was some vote to potentially put a stop to the war, so crude oil is moving lower. This is the correlation that matters. Like, forget about the nitty-gritty of the other stuff. Market mechanics-wise, crude oil lower, which means TNX, 10-year rates, lower, which means IWM, aka small caps, there we go, are going to be higher, right? So a little bit of lift happening through here, not a lot, but just enough to keep it in range for the flag. When I say flag, I'm talking about this right here, and as we know, if we can reclaim that 2900, that is bullish. Bullish for a tailwind on smalls over 2900, right? So that's it. That's really all there is to it on this particular Russell chart. Watch your 2900. Above 2900 bullish and looking for the top of the range. Under 2900, look for the 20 SMA shakeout and then still be open-minded to the 2900 reclaim, right? That would be the look there. Talked about that quite a bit in last night's episode of the midweek market update, so we won't beat that dead horse. Nothing to really check in on the 15 other than just saying there is no gap down, right? So with no gap down on the Russell, a little bit more bullish, of course, and for now, just keeping it simple. You balance here, brigade bolt up and out, bullish for the broad market. If you're in here, not the end of the world, but just keep an open mind for the shakeout to the 20, reclaim of the 2900s, the same thing we just talked about. IWM, quick look over here at the Rusty Smalls on the cash ETF. You can see the same thing. There's kind of your bear flag consolidation on the lows. We're opening right over the highs, so if it does flag out and move up towards the highs of the range, I should say, then fine. You're bullish for the S&P 500, or at least at bare minimum, not a headwind, right? You drop this 286.75, excuse me, 286.75. Under 286.75, 2-day low gets broken. You target the 20 on the shakeout, and then a reclaim would be bullish there. All the prior flags that we've seen on small caps did shake out. You didn't just get pretty flags and, oh, look, drift up through the high. No, you had pretty flag, oh my God, it looks so good, shake, back in range, and then go, right? So watching that as a possibility on small caps here. Jumping into the core list of companies with 9/11 on the clock, talking about failed breakouts, which we mentioned 25 times in last night's episode of the Midweek Market Update. Shout out AI. I'm assuming that was Gemini. Sky, thanks for putting in the legwork behind Gemini on that one. NVIDIA, talk about a failure here. Just when you think it's offering you a higher low on the daily chart, and oh my goodness, look at this momentum on Tuesday, kicked in the teeth, lose the 20, underneath the breakout point here, right, this reclaim level. So forget about it. Forget about it on NVIDIA. I think that you're probably looking for a lower high up against 215, rotate back into here, or if you're just in here, nothing to do until we have the next day. That's it. If you wash it out, like if you're just gap and go to the downside, maybe equal low support bounce off the 209.75. I would look for a counter trend to set the lower high and then continue for something that does that. So NVIDIA, not really a top priority. Big failed breakout on this. FBO, that's right. Failed breakout, failed breakout, failed breakout. First red day, first red day, first red day. Doing that for the transcript, doing that for the search engine optimization. Okay. Apple, what do we have on AAPL? Just kind of stay away from Apple would be my take. It's got some pre-market strength, noting that you're opening up here, right? Pre-market strength, it's the old dog, it's the old classic defensive tech move. So is it actually going to break out? I'm not going to be too interested in trying that over 315. If you balance here, fine. Maybe it's going to act as an anchor for the market to not go down, but it's probably not a momentum long through these highs. You failed once, you failed twice, you failed thrice, you failed thrice. Is that 4 times? Just big failures at the highs. So as much as it looks like pre-market strength, just be cautious of your size and if you're going to try that at 315. Next up, Microsoft. Microsoft doesn't look half bad. I would have preferred it to open weak near the 20 for a red to green move, right? And then you get thin structure retracement over 430. Because you're opening not really a true gap up, you're not opening out of range, but you're opening here, I'd look for a morning washout to the previous day's close, higher low over 430 for a counter trend. I still think Microsoft has suffered a terrible amount of damage here on the daily timescale. Huge failed breakout. But I do think for today's session, you could go counter trend for a day. Right? If they're going to sell semiconductors hard and maybe get involved in some tech stuff, like is this enough to do it over on Microsoft? Maybe. I think Microsoft's also announcing their MAI models. Microsoft AI is what they're calling it, but they have, I think, was it 4 different groups? I'd have to go back. They're in the midst of Microsoft Build right now, which is their conference for developers. Anyways, MAI is maybe the catalyst that sparks a little bit of interest around this. We'll see ultimately how it stacks up to like Anthropic's Mythos, which apparently is the strongest thing that anybody's ever seen, and they got to put a leash on it. So Microsoft, we'll watch out for 430 pullbacks. Amazon, not totally seeing it here again, the better open would have been a weak open near the 50 SMA, look below and fail, and then you're higher. That way you could at least take advantage of shorts late to the party, smack on the lows. So you're either long it from yesterday's low, which is fine. Like 50 SMA test is pretty classic in the market. You're either long it from down here, or on the open higher this morning, maybe you're looking for a rally rejection of the 255, which is the neckline from the daily double top. That'd be the other idea for Amazon, right? That is that one. Let's jump on over into Google. Google is descending triangle inside bear 3-bar play on the daily. I don't love the Google chart, if I'm being honest with you. Their offering thing, or whatever you could call it, an offering, a cash capital raise, whatever you want to call it. Also, I just realized that the screen's frozen. Classic. There it is. Should be back. If you missed Amazon, all I was doodling in the meantime was just this lower high at 255, right, like that. Back to Google. It looks heavy, but do I want to be short into the 50 SMA? Probably not. It's been a very tough short to pull off unless you got the gap fill reversal on Wednesday. Tuesday, up against the low from Monday. That's kind of the only spot that made sense, 374.75. So Google, I wouldn't advocate for getting short in the hole. I would actually start looking for reversal opportunities. Is there an opportunity to get long Google up against the daily 50? Kind of similar to what Amazon did off the daily 50, but can we just do it intraday on Google? Let's go on over to Broadcom. The forecast open is down here, so talk about a failed breakout. Horrible. Atrocious, terrible, worst thing I've seen in a while. The measured move here was about 43 bucks. Market maker measured move was 43 bucks. So 408, I don't know how sharp my math skills are, but last time I checked, 79 less 43 is not 408. So something's happening there. A little bit more than the market maker expected move, and as of right now, I would really just be an advocate for either watching to see how this settles out. A lot of these earnings names recently, day one of earnings, have been like, just let it balance and then you'll learn something about the range. A lot of the peg setups, right, you didn't want to buy them on the earnings gap up. You wanted to kind of let them go, and then once they found that higher low and took out the highs and did that, that's when you wanted to get them. So Broadcom's not going to be a peg in the upward direction. It's going to be a downward direction one, and we'll see what it does. So 408, watching the bottom end of this flag, and just thinking about failed breakout, thinking about a slowdown on the semiconductors driven by this gnarly move over here. 9:17 on the clock. Let's get the job done. Meta, believe it or not, this thing has just been absolutely a wild ride. What is that called? Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or something like that? Looking good. Gentle pullback. Hammer on Friday. Smacked on Monday. Tuesday's like, oh, geez, really? We're not going to get anything off the range low? And then boom, there you have it on your Wednesday session. Shout out Rick, doing a great job managing some options on that. So just lovely. Not easy, but well done. Meta in the overnight session, I think this flag is interesting in terms of relative strength. I think there's some relative strength to Meta based on that. I don't know that I want to be like gung-ho, oh my god, send it to the moon, A+ size, but I would be willing to entertain the idea. Right? I'd be willing to entertain the idea at like a B, maybe a B-, something along those lines. Like, do we have something in here that kind of can sort us out back through these highs? Maybe. Low expectations just because of the way that the market's acted around Meta recently, but yesterday was hard to ignore. In a sea of red, Meta's up 3.31%. We'll see. We will see. Let's keep going. Let's jump on over to Tesla. Tesla's just, in my view, too sloppy to want to say anything constructive about. A lot of these charts, I mean, I hate to say it because, the Mag 7 names are really where the options liquidity is deep and wide. A lot of these names need a little work in terms of having actionable setups, right? In terms of like a daily thesis that informs what you do from an intraday perspective, right? So I don't love what this Tesla is. I mean, this is a break of the hammer high from Tuesday, completely failed breakout. Underneath the 20 SMA, I don't want to try to relong it off the 200 SMA. I don't want to do anything really in here. I think you need something new on Tesla. I'm sort of like torn between, is this still a higher low over the 200 versus is this a lower high build out? Are we doing this? It's just, you're in range compression here on Tesla, and the daily bars are not making it easy. You can see over here, hammer off the 200 to then inverted hammer off the 20, rejecting these lows, just not really getting it done on Tesla. So Oh, ho, 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 ho. Beth Jesus with the 5 in the chat. Working quick. Are you sure you're not Kimball Nimble? I mean, Kimball Nimble, I would expect something snappy, quick. Beth Jesus has the new. If you like the classics such as Grab and Gulp, or Gulp and Grab, you're gonna love the all-new Swig and Snap. I like that one. Swig and Snap. Sip and Poof, Swig and Snap, sticking with the S's. That is trademarked, registered, and copywritten immediately. We'll get the lawyers on that ASAP, and there will be zero interruption on the Amazon Prime extension. All right, we've got ourselves a redemption on the Sip and Swag. No, sorry. I'm gonna have to sear that one into my brain. Swig and Snap. There it is. Swig and Snap. The Vaporizer Wizard with the 10 gifted memberships this morning. Very generous of you on a beautiful Thursday morning. Goodness. Welcome to the 10 new members there. Buy low, sell lower. Welcome. All right. That's Tesla. Let's jump on over to JP Morgan, 9:20 on the clock. Let's finish on a strong note. JPM strong for financials. I think the XLF is trying to keep the glue sticky for the S&P 500, but not in love with this chart. I mean, you're just coming into the moving average stack, overhead supply here as well. If we look at MU gap, whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on here with MU? Really? You're gonna do that right before the open? Hang tight. What's the live news got for us? 8:58. Nope, not gonna be that one. I don't think. MU? Are they still doing? Is Computex still going on? Interesting. Interesting surge over on this MU. Not sure what that's all about. From getting kicked in the teeth to suddenly being rebid. Hey, I mean, I guess it is what it is. If we're going to be opening in this range, then forget about the gap close trade below us, and that's that. You know, so an open in here, maybe a failure up against previous day's low could put some pressure on the gap. I personally would love to see MU just do this. I don't like, if you've noticed, it's been harder and harder and harder to trade MU intraday. It's not.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, complete AI creation platform. Describe what you want and watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand in any direction. From tools built for one to platforms ready for many, from passion projects to enterprise-grade systems, everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation where you can go as far as your imagination takes you. Can you imagine it? Let's make your dream a reality right now.
Stays low. If you reclaim it, maybe there's a little bit of consolidation through here. But if the whole narrative is that AI and the semiconductors need a breather, I don't think AMD is going to do anything special there. Maybe you're just sideways here, or maybe you're just sideways there. We'll wait for the next big strong kind of like, oh, look, there it is. There's the next AI push, right? Intel, another one, just where I would say, okay, if you can rally a little bit to reject previous day's low, that's probably where the short comes in, looking for these equal lows, and you just have yourself highs, lower highs, lower highs, and the weekly flag just continues to consolidate. Right? This is your weekly flag on Intel. Right? It'll get interesting at some point when and if it approaches the top of the range. But for now, I think if short-term trades to the downside on Intel for gap fill reversal, it's a double gap, not a double rainbow, but a double gap on INTC. All right, that's what I've got for you on this morning's episode and installation of the pre-market prep. Let's quickly tour back on over to the ES futures. Looks like we got a little bit of a pop there. Just keep in mind, once again, we are opening on a gap down, but your gap rules are going to limit the amount of risk reward that's here for the gap close. If you're expecting a full test of the overnight low, you need to have risk reward here to the open, then gravy. You cannot go, risk reward and invert that. That would be poor risk management. Am I holding Dokken? No, I'm not. DOCN looked good on this break. I know a bunch of people in the group got it long off the 20 in here. I thought it was a great setup. I absolutely thought it was a great setup. I just did not participate personally. So, nope. No DOCN. Not for me. SanDisk. I own some SNXX still. They split that thing the other day. I own some Dell still. I own some ARM still. I own some Navitas still. Oops, that's spelled wrong. What else do I own? A little bit of Rocket Lab still, a little bit over there. That's it. I mean, there's probably some other stuff too that I'm not thinking of, but anyway, that is what comes to mind. In terms of the ES futures, just keep in mind your gap rules and that we would like to see some pullback and digestion out of this market to give us a reset and offer up a new kind of setup, if you will, for us here. Capital is dog, 38 months. Woo! NTAP, that's right. NTAP, a little bit of an NTAP, for sure. Absolutely. Good reminder. Remind me of my own book. All right. That's it for me. Have yourself a green and fantastic trading session. Remember, tomorrow morning, coffee and donuts on me for the Full Monty Labor Report. If you want to enter the Live Squawk free month giveaway, it's not really free because someone's generously donated that. Feel free to leave a single sentence, single phrase comment down below after the stream ends here in the next 10-15 seconds on what your trading needs to get you up and over the edge. With that being said, big shout out to the usual suspects. We'd be here all day if we had to say hi to everybody. Have yourself a green trading session, and as always, I will see you in the next one.
Stop sell. Stop sell.
Man,